Good evening to you all. This is a webinar done by the i2i facilities that supports the current 2015 effort on the i2i competition. My name is Hayden Ferreira, and for the 3 years that this awards program has been run, I've acted as chairman of the evaluation panel. I'm an engineer by training, and I've had a lot of experience in what in Canada we call heavy industry. With me today is
Okay, thank you. My name is Ancel, Bhagwandeen. I'm a 2012 and 2013 awardee in the i2i system. I actually am also an engineer. While I left heavy industry some time ago, I moved into advertising and, of course, tech work area, and then, of course, this one, which is what I like to call prototyping, or I call my own term inventor waiting. And we're both here to help you choose to make your application better so that you have a winning application. So that's the theme today, how to craft a winning application for i2i. So we're here to take any questions that you may have, and hopefully not entertain you too much, but keep it informative. So we're ready to take that.
Thanks a lot, Ancel. And I guess the first lesson is implicit in what Ancel just said, and that he has been an awardee on 2 of the 3 occasions. So clearly he has some sense of what makes a winning application. So this is the basis that he's here on. So we open up then to any questions that you may have, and we'll try to facilitate the best way we can. I would say, though, as a starting comment, that there is a website that supports this program, i2i program. And on that website, there's a lot of information that you can glean to get partial answers, perhaps, to the question of what makes a good winning application. Part of the material there are the rules and some guidelines on submissions. An important feature of what is there are the evaluation reports for the last 3 years. And the evaluation panel has been at pains to try to produce a report that is not simply a brief report, but something that gives some ideas as to what the panel looks for. And so you can find several guidelines if you went through those reports over the last 3 years.
I see we have a quick question. What is the website? That would be i2i.com.
Yes, that's right.
It's a very well put together website. You can actually go back into the 2012 and 2013 awardees to see what was awarded and categories, which could be useful to you to understand better how to place and position your application. There are categories such as manufacturing, ICT, as well as, I believe, agriculture and so forth. So it's useful to have a look at the archive.
Answer. There's another question that asks, where do I start when putting together my application? And this often is asked of us. There's one answer that we can give, and it's an answer that helps you discern the concept of innovation. Several of us have ideas in all sorts of contexts and domains. This particular program is looking for what we call innovative ideas. And one way I like to distinguish between a normal idea and an innovative idea is that if you take what a painter does, I'm not speaking now of a house painter, I'm speaking of an artist. And an artist of note develops new techniques, new ways of displaying his his craft. Those new techniques are what tend to be innovative techniques. Another artist can replicate what he does, and in that replication, he's really just being a good producer of a painting, not necessarily innovative. Both of them have their values. Both of them can do well so as earning a living, but only one is truly innovative, and that's a distinction that we make. So as a starting point in thinking of the ideas that you have that you can apply with or that would be likely to be winning, you should ask yourself the question about whether or the extent to which it is innovative, or the extent to which you can turn it into something that is innovative. And so I don't know if someone else wants to add to that.
Well, there's a question of novelty. And I believe you discover that if you have a look at the application, the i2i application, forms that are online. Novelty is what makes you different. It's what makes your idea different from someone else's. So if you have the cliched product, a mousetrap, you have to make a better mousetrap. Something in your mousetrap must make the mice want to come to it more often and be caught also more, so that you can have incremental novelty, where you have an improvement or an evolution in a product. Much like monolith lighting. In the early days, there were fires. Then Thomas Edison came along and patented the light bulb. And jump forward another 50 to 60 years as we developed fluorescent lighting. And now we're seeing the development and the proliferation of LED lighting. And each one has its own novelty that makes it have its own market space. And it's important that your idea contains some element of novelty that you can demonstrate. And you must be able to demonstrate it to someone who's reading the document. It's not just about telling someone, you have to actually deliver it in black and white. And that's one of the challenges. Let me just click down here and look see what's happening. We have a couple of questions.
Before we take the next question, I'd just like to expand on what Ancel is saying there, because the novelty factor is clearly an important aspect of innovation. We also always keep in mind, though, that when we think about an idea, we often think about a product, and we sometimes miss an element of process in it. So that part of novelty might be producing a new idea, or a new aspect to an old idea. But a part of it could be producing the same product in a new and different way, a new and different manner, a manner that is more efficient, more effective, and really more cost effective as well. And this program is open to all of those. So that while you may tend to think only firstly about new products, you should also be thinking about old products manufactured or produced in new ways. The mousetrap is a good one. Light bulbs are actually a good example of that as well. There's a lot of technology behind the manufacture of light bulbs. And we know this because over the years, they have come down more and more in cost. And that is due to the technology innovation, the process innovation that goes into it. So keep in mind that it is both about the new products, but also new technology, new processes to manufacture new products and or services. Okay, so we take another question.
Have a gentleman who's doing MBA. Question is, what about doing a business website? I did this for my MBA and I would like to make it come to fruition. So I guess this question is whether the business website constitutes a viable application.
That's right, and it does and it can. One must make sure, though, one is clear on what is the purpose of it. If there's an identifiable need, an identifiable gap somewhere in the business domain, then you're well ahead of the game in trying to come up with a website that that would do well in the evaluation. Building another business website like 100 that is already available begs the question, and the evaluation committee will and does ask this, the question about novelty that Ancel just raised. So if you copy something that is there, you're hardly likely to be successful because it's going to be identifiable as just another of what exists. If, however, the business website fills a unique need, and in particular if it's a unique need in Trinidad, in the local environment that doesn't, for which no satisfactory offering is available, then I could see where that novelty, that uniqueness, and the innovation that goes into satisfying the need could be quite successful.
And you want to ask a question, how can someone turn a problem they see around them into an opportunity on which to base their idea?
And this actually is one of the most straightforward ways in coming up with a good idea. I almost said the easiest way, but I shouldn't say that's easiest, it's not necessarily the easiest, but certainly most straightforward. Because if you start at a problem, a real problem, as I was saying on the business website, if you start with a real identifiable problem, you are fairly certain that if you come up with a way of dealing with it, you have a good chance of success. Because you're treated with a real problem, and it's quite likely that others in the society have a similar need. So I'd say that we the evaluation panel see a number of applications that to us appear to be someone having a tool available to them. You know, as for instance, our question just now by an MBA candidate, you have a tool available. You have new learning. And you want to use that new learning. And so you start at what we think is the wrong end of the pole. You start with a tool and you're trying to find a use for the tool. You may come up with a good idea, but you may not. If you start with a problem that is a need, you are better guaranteed of having something that could stand the test of the evaluation process.
Daniel has a question about technical competency. And he's concerned that the younger ones who have ideas to put forward, how they will be able to do that because they don't have years of experience and still be able to take on an entrepreneurial project. I'd like to insert a little bit there. There's an opportunity for teamwork for these applications. You don't have to do it as an individual. And oftentimes you find that a multiplicity of skill sets and experience will give you a result that, you know, the synergy is great. And you have an opportunity where the original idea can be morphed into something that's either more commercial, more novel, or more easily executed. And so it's not really a difficult step, but it's a step that requires you to do a little bit of networking or a little bit of development on your own to prepare your document. Insofar as the writing out of the document, there are opportunities for you to, you know, if it's a teacher you want to speak with, it's a technical document involving physics and so forth, you can refer to educators or if you're in university, lecturers and so on to get advice, to get support. But don't let that stop you. Because if you can put down how viable your idea is, and you can demonstrate that you can access technical competency to support the idea in your team, I'm sure you'll be able to be successful.
I'll expand on that too, and it's a good point that Ancel raises about the team. There's no disadvantage at all to applying as a team as opposed to an individual. This is not an award program that penalizes teamwork. So that if you have available to you others who can lend ideas to you or thoughts to the idea, could assist in the development, that definitely is a path that you should consider. I want to also make the point that this program is in part developmental, so that the fact that one may not feel that you have a lot of experience to take the idea through its development should not encumber you from developing the idea and applying. If you're awarded, you will be taken through a process of the next year with Ferreira and others in helping you develop the idea further. So you're not alone in doing that. And that is how the award funds are actually applied. So that you should not feel that your lack of experience is an encumbrance or in any way penalizes you in the process. And in fact, we have good statistics that show that several of our winners over the last 3 years have been very young people who don't have a whole lot of experience. They have been the ones who quite much more mature with a lot of experience. And personally, I can't say that I can correlate well the experience level with success. I want to use that to just get into the second point that I wanted to make about having a winning entry. As the point about clarity. If there's any point that can correlate with success, is clarity in what you put forward. When you submit, the evaluation panel do not know who you are. It's all anonymous to us. We get an idea and we get some explanation of it. We don't have the opportunity to come back to you. So that you have to make sure that you explain your idea as clearly, as cogently as possible. Clear ideas are not necessarily long-winded in explanation. We do get that as well. That generally doesn't help us because anybody who does that generally leads in circles, and by the time we finish reading it, we are more confused than when we started. Stick to the core of the idea. Explain what its purpose is, so we understand what it is trying to accomplish, and explain what the idea seeks to do, and how, as the application requests, how you intend to proceed through its development. So keep in mind that point about clarity. Okay.
Right. So we have an interesting question here, and an offer. So, does it have to address a problem necessarily? What if it is such that it is a new avenue to generate revenue and employ citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Can I provide my thesis for your review? That means, I presume, reviewed by Ferreira here. Can I submit my thesis along with the forms showing the business plan and opportunity? So,
well, there were 3 questions built into that. So let's take them one at a time, right? The first one is whether there needs to be a problem.
yes.
No, there doesn't. You don't have to address a problem. The point I was making earlier is that we find that it is a lot easier for a lot of people to present an idea if they start at a problem. But that doesn't necessarily have to be so. You can have an idea that is totally new, so novel that it doesn't address any problem that exists. But if it does not address a problem, at least it's supposed to be a value. It must be addressing a need in some form. So that is one. Can I provide my thesis for review? The program does allow submission of material other than what is on the website in the application form. That material is not intended to be a thesis. You have to understand that we are all here trying to do a task on a voluntary basis, and it would be quite unreasonable for us if everybody provided a thesis. I can flip that actually and say to the person who submitted that I would wonder about the person who cannot condense his thesis into a clear idea and a clear description of it. To me, it would say something about himself or herself, probably not being as clear in their own minds about what they are trying to accomplish. So that, yes, you can submit other material. We've had in the past individuals who have submitted ideas for something, and they submitted a sample of it for us to see. That actually helps because that establishes very, very clearly what it is, and that there's some merit to the idea. So you can submit that if it's appropriate, but I don't think that thesis is quite appropriate. As a thesis meaning the document of a thesis. The ideas behind the thesis, certainly you can submit. And last can I submit a thesis along with the form showing the business plan. Again, what you should be doing is turning the thesis into a business plan and opportunity, and not submitting the thesis in its original and formal form.
One of my experiences has been that imagery, if you can't supply a sample, does help clarify what you're talking about and what you're trying to achieve. And there's an opportunity, as I mentioned, you don't have to have a prototype done with a picture of it in order to generate imagery. If, for instance, you're creating a new form of apparel for some reason, that does something new, you can use existing apparel, cut it up, reassemble it, stick it together in some way that demonstrates what you're trying to achieve or what you will achieve. And in so doing, you've created a mock-up, if you will, of what you have. And if you can get that across to the reader by using image, you're in a better position to explain what your idea is and your novelty. Because there are nuances in what you create that could be lost. We have to remember that everybody's human and everybody's reading lots of these proposals day in, day out to try and evaluate them. And you want to make sure that what is key in your proposal or your novel, part of your idea, sticks.
And thanks a lot for that point and your use of the word imagery. I think that is key to it, because we, as human beings, we are very graphic in the way we consume information, particularly these days. So that most of us prefer a picture than a description of it. And that imagery is what Ancel is talking about. If you can produce a mock-up or something, and we have had people do this. I remember one, I think in the second year, this individual was did something along the line of a unique form of stocking, and she actually sent something that wasn't well stitched together anything at all, but it gave us the idea of what she was thinking about, and it conveyed in much better clarity the word that she has. I would also add on this point that something that's not often taken advantage of is a simple sketch. We've had some people do that, and this is not an engineered drawing or anything. Yeah? Some of them are quite crude sketches, but the reality is that a sketch does help the language because it gives some idea about what is being described. And I haven't seen a time yet where some form of imagery has not helped us improve our understanding, not help the evaluation panel improve our understanding of what is intended.
Okay, we have something from if the worst happens and your idea is selected, what advice can you give your entrepreneur, your young entrepreneur? Well, my experience from that end of it, because I have submitted multiple applications, you do not have to only submit one. You can submit quite a few. I believe the numbers were 5 per person or per team. That's so.
Yes.
And,
5 per person or team in 1 year.
In one given year. So you're not forced to distill your ideas down into one that you think is a winning idea. However, some will not win because you can only be awarded once in a given year. Now, that begs the question. Suppose your second idea is almost as good as your first, you can always resubmit in a following year. You still want to do so. And achieve a result. Maybe even refine the idea a little bit and achieve a result. So my experience has been that for the ideas that did not win in a particular year, you'll find that the i2i team would actually send you a document with a small review of why it did not take, and with some recommendations as to where you can strengthen it or what you can do to make it better.
Yeah, so clearly if you haven't succeeded in 1 year, that doesn't preclude you from trying again the following year and enhancing the idea. I want to ask Ancel to just expand a personal experience and something that links back to the earlier question from the young person, young graduate, who was concerned about not having sufficient experience. Because, excuse me, we have the program promotes itself and tries to encourage business development. That's the whole purpose of it. Business development can happen in more than one way. The common way that we think about is taking an idea and starting a new business with it. This has been a path that some people have taken, and some have already been successful with it. But it's not the only path. And I'd like to ask Ancel now to talk a little bit about his experience with an alternate path where you don't start a business, but you use the idea and you sell or contract somebody to manufacture for you based on the idea.
Sure. Well, just to remind those and for those who just joined, I'm double awardee, so that means in 2012 there was a winning award, and in 2013, which meant that there were 2 proof of concepts. The first was called battery deja vu, and the purpose of that, to keep it very simple here, is a better battery charger for lead-acid batteries. And the second was also a manufacturing award, but it had a cultural impact, and it was the world's first electronic 10-ounce hand stick. And more specifically towards the hand stick, that proof of concept worked out very well in that the finished item was virtually commercially ready and was almost in favorable form, standard packaging, of course. So what has taken place since, and this is the 2013 award I'm talking about, is I decided that the best opportunity for me, from the point of view of entrepreneurship and business, was to seek what's called a licensing arrangement. So I decided to actually proceed with manufacturing the deja vu. However, licensing the kind of hand stick to another entity. Now, licensing doesn't mean you're giving up your IP. It means, in effect, you're releasing it. And the licensor, if you're a licensee, takes the responsibility for manufacturing and those costs as well as distribution. And you receive 2 things. You receive what's called upfront royalty advance, which can be substantial, and you receive a percentage based upon the wholesale price of the product, or service as the case may be. The percentage we normally look at in this market space is 3% depending on the product. 3 if it's, for instance, like a bottle cap, so there's so many of them, so the percentage is smaller. You go up to the larger percentages for a lower volume product. Now, what's the advantage of this is it unburdens you, the entrepreneur, from having to take on the responsibility of manufacturing, distribution, the accounting that's involved, the taxation that's involved, basically running the business. You don't really run the business. You actually receive a check every month or every quarter, as the case may be. And it also gives you, if you're a serial entrepreneur or innovator, the opportunity to investigate and pursue your other concepts with some additional funding that is coming from the licensing arrangement. And again, you have not given up your IP. You can choose to, you can sell the whole patent if you will, but that's different. No, I'd like to say this. You don't have to patent it before you seek your license arrangement. You can build the patent process into the license arrangement because you don't want to spend a lot of money, a lot of time patenting a product or service that may not achieve the result you want. You need to spend your time developing your business. Okay? Because you fail more at business than you succeed. And you don't want to type your results from the failure. You want to turn around and learn from the failure and step forward and try again. So you need to minimize your expenses in that arena. Okay, so a license arrangement is something you should look at. And if you want to pursue your idea into manufacturing and distribution, or in the case of a ICT app development and dissemination online and so on, that's going to consume a lot of your time, and you have to allocate time adequately, and that's where the business plan comes in. Right? So
let's just put this in perspective, because what Ancel has nicely explained there is an alternative to setting up a business to take advantage of this idea that you have, and assuming that it has gone through the proof of concept and so on. So it's saying that you don't necessarily, if you're not inclined to, you don't necessarily have to go the route of setting up a business to do it. You could license the idea and have somebody do that and take their own manufacturing and marketing risks and so on, and you just get the benefit of it. What I want to say though, or what I want to point out is that both of those options need a precursor. And it is that even if you're to license something, it is very difficult to take an idea to get somebody interested in. When you do that, you have two challenges. One, the first challenge is that getting the person who's in business right now, who might be able to fund the development, to understand and appreciate the idea that you have. That's the first challenge. The second one is equally a challenge and a risk, is that you're liable to lose the idea, because rather just work with you, they might steal the idea and go and do something with it. So that this program offers you an option to take that idea to a level that we call proof of concept, which is really a level that is easier to explain to someone, it's easier to get interest in by someone who might be willing to invest in it. And that is why the concept of the purpose of taking it to this proof of concept stage, so that you can do that. So that once you get to the proof of concept, which is really currently the end stage of this program, you're now able to decide which option you want personally to get the revenue benefits of your idea.
We have Kathleen, a question that says, what projects are most suited to illumination?
Illumination, of course, was just launched some weeks ago, at the same time as i2i. I'll just explain what is behind that. The i2i program has been open to both products and services. And we have got, and included in services, services that are of a non-profit nature. And so far in our discussion today, we've constantly, either in a very direct way or indirectly, alluded to revenue and profits and so on. This is the purpose of a business establishment. But there are very good ideas that come forward that really are not truly business ideas, but seek to satisfy needs of our society and communities through projects that do not seek to be profit-making. And we have had a few of them in the past that have been awardees. And but it was felt by the Council for Competitiveness that we should want to encourage more of these kinds of ideas and these kinds of initiatives. And it is really for that purpose that Illumination was started, almost solely to deal with that type of initiative. That is not, that is really non-profit in its design, as makeup. This is not to say that you cannot apply with such an idea to the i2i program. You can still do that. But depending on the nature of the idea, and here the ideas don't come nicely packaged in black or white. We've had that challenge as the evaluation committee. You know, there's some ideas that are designed around helping or relieving some sort of societal pressure, but still have an element of profit making in them, and some are not. So depending on the idea, you can choose to enter in illumination alone or enter in both. There's no exclusion at all there. So I hope that has provided a little bit of clarity on how illumination matches and compares to
I'd like to insert something as we're speaking about parallel competition to award. There's another award for invention and ideation in Trinidad and Tobago. In a while, Prime Minister's Award for Scientific Ingenuity that's run by NEHU. And I'd just like to point out that you can take your proof of concept if it's an invention or your idea and apply to that award system as well. And I was fortunate enough that the 2013 i2i award proof of concept resulted in a 2014 Prime Minister's Award for Invention, which was a cash award directly, because it was a good enough product to make the grade. And so your outcome from the i2i, if you have a good proof of concept, places you in good stead for that secondary award where inventions compete and so on. Right.
Yeah, that's true. So you do have some choice there about where you take it. And notice that the different programs seek to achieve and accomplish different things. The Prime Minister's program is really does award prizes. So as Ancel said, he received a cash award of a prize. The i2i program does not give you a prize. It makes available to you sums of money to develop your idea, and makes available to you as well a program, a context in which to do that. It tries to build capacity, which is different from what other programs seek to do. I have an interesting question from Jeffers. If one is awarded, does the labor have to come from Trinidad and Tobago? If one can use both from Trinidad and Tobago and foreign. And of course, the intent behind this program, and I think it's stated in one of the rules, that the funding is in TT dollars and spent in TT dollars. But that cannot be exclusively categorically that way, because if, for instance, you need to buy a particular item that is not manufactured here, then it has to come from overseas somewhere. The question, though, talks about labor particularly. I would expand that to services, because if you need a particular service done, it may be a unique kind of drafting service or something like that is not available here, then it has to come from outside. So there are some guidelines that are provided on this. The intent, though, is that we treat with nationals of Trinidad and Tobago, so submissions are by nationals. And because the program has this element of development in Trinidad, the expectation is that the individual or individuals, if it's a team, are able to go through that process in Trinidad.
Insofar as crafting your application, you don't have to be too concerned about the services and products that you need. There's a section within the application that outlines what you think you need, and an outline budget as well that you have to provide, which forms part of the application. However, if you find that if you've won the application and you're having difficulty sourcing multiple quotations and multiple services and so on, in certain cases, there's something called single sourcing that you can avail yourself of. All that requires is that you will provide justification if it's a unique service. For instance, for tuning a tenor fan, I can very well get a service out of the United States, really, or anywhere else. Trinidad is actually one of your major sources. So if I were outside of Trinidad and Tobago, I would probably have to single source it out of Trinidad and Tobago for that particular application. Again, it doesn't come into play for the actual application. That comes into play during the process of executing the proof of concept.
Kieran has been answering Kathleen on a couple of points related to the illumination, so you can have a read of the answers that he's provided there. Kathleen has asked a question that I don't know that the administration has really addressed yet. But certainly, Kathleen, if one of these ideas has both a social impact, has a significant social impact, but has profit-making aspects to it as well, then it really can apply to both. I don't know that and I'm speaking this personally here, this has not been tested yet because illumination has just started. But I don't know if it was such that one particular submission submitted in both programs came on award in both, whether that would be allowed, because both are trying to take the individual's team through a process. And I can't see how that will make a whole lot of sense. One might have to choose one or the other. But that is something that the administration of the program will have to address in due course. Anyone knows, this is from Shane, anyone knows whether previous winners reach the frontier of international investors? I'm not too sure. Term frontier of international investors is somewhat open. I would say from knowledge of about 4 or 5 of them, I know that several of past winners have got to a point where they are on the international scene. I can think of 2 offhand. The Chiram, which is a winner in 2nd, 12, yes, 23rd. And I'm trying to remember this guy's name now, who does dolls. Keep calling it dolls. It's really crafted. Now, you know what? His name escapes me. But he is he's somebody actually is tied in with the Donald Trump organization. So whether that is quite international investors, or maybe this is the frontier. I don't know if any has had international investment, if that's what you're asking. No, I don't think so. Kieran could probably expand on that. But I know that if you talk about the frontier being what I just described, I'd say yes, we have had a few already reach that level. And Nigel asks, hi, proof of concept is most important for successful application. Nigel, not for a successful application, because proof of concept is what you'll be working towards. Okay? Upon being awarded, you spend the next several months working towards that stage of proof of concept. So the panel doesn't expect that at the time of submission you are very clear that you have a proof of concept. You can't have it at that stage. What the panel expects that you would have is some idea of what you want to get to that will represent the proof of concept. So it doesn't have to be well detailed. It's really a notion or idea of what will, for you, represent the proof of concept. So the idea is there, what you have to achieve, whether if it's a product, how do you prove that this idea is viable? And that is what the proof of concept is. And again, going back to the point that I made earlier, it is really intended to get very clearly to something that you can speak and demonstrate to third parties, meaning investors, that this idea is worthy of their serious consideration.
I would think that novelty and commercial viability would be two of the more important areas to look at in the document, in the application to focus on. And you should be able to outline your methodology or your process, how to get to your proof of concept within the framework of what the award will give you. Because the award is not infinite, so we have to recognize that there's a limit. So there's some element of budgeting and economics that will have to play.
Let me just throw in one point here on this proof of concept matter, because the submission also asks you to give, some idea of cost and tool that will take you into the development stage. And again, this is not associated with the highest weighting in the evaluation process. But I can say one thing about a proof of concept. If in Ancel case, in his second award, okay, so his idea is about a pants, like a unique item. Clearly is associated with Trinidad, with our culture and so on. So it has a lot of uniqueness about it. But if he had submitted and indicated that to get the proof of concept, he needed to set up a factory and buy land and buy motor vehicles to prove that this concept is viable, you would really start to think a couple of times about him. Because clearly you don't need that to prove its viability. And that is what the proof of concept is. You do not need a manufacturing process. You do not need to buy land, to buy a warehouse to prove the idea. And yet some people feel, and we still get submissions, elaborating on all sorts of expenses. It almost seems to us sometimes that people feel that if they beef it up in cost sufficiently to the maximum of 200,000, that they would be awarded the 200,000. That is not how it works. At the end of the day, if we see an idea that is worthy of an award, the panel makes a determination of, in the absence of good information on the path to proof of concept, makes its own determination on that part and what sort of award would be reasonable and appropriate for that.
So we have another question from Jeffrey. Does i2i have any ownership? This is the IT question of an idea presented, and if so, what is the percentage?
And the answer to that clearly is no. The IP of all ideas stay with the individual who makes or team who makes the submission. The panel, the evaluation panel, and those associated with the process, meaning including the administrative people in the ministry, all sign and execute confidentiality agreements that last a few years, so that we are not at liberty to talk about or either talk about or to promote any of these ideas, any of the submissions, the ideas in the submission ourselves. And that has nothing to do with whether the submission is an award or gets an award at all or not. If you submit an idea, the idea is your idea, and it stays that way.
There's one element of that you do have to be careful of if you're an award in how you display your idea and what you display. For instance, the global IP of this, which is managed by Richard Ashing, is of the view that if you went to the award ceremony of the Prime Minister's Awards and displayed your idea and demonstrated it, which is what the award ceremony wants you to do, you would be actually potentially starting the clock ticking on when you can apply for the recruitment process. That would constitute a public demonstration because it's in the public and you're demonstrating. Okay? You're not demonstrating to an individual. So for that reason, I did not actually attend the award ceremony because I didn't want to reveal the tactic in a public way yet. And by doing so, it gives me better leverage from the point of view of negotiations with like and so on, because it's still a fairly well kept secret. You can't find it concealed anywhere, and you're not going to find posters of it somewhere or large articles about it somewhere or how it works or what it does. So something to be aware of is something about your IP.
And speaking to the evaluation panel wouldn't give you any more information either.
No, of course. So always inquire what the cover is, because with the legal awards, they do protect your IP, but what you sign to is the process of the evaluation, not the function where you display your product. So you have to be able to care for that.
It's an interesting question from Jeffers. Has the panel acknowledged two great ideas, or is it that they only choose one? Jeffers, I would like if you could expand that question. I will try to answer it as the way I understand it. And that is that because this is an awards program that is focused on development of our economic development of our economic base, there clearly is no single winner. So this is not a competition in that sense. There are awards. At the end of it, the panel determines and says, okay, first year we had 50 awards, second year we had 52, last year we had 42. There's no number that we are targeting. Whatever we see in the submissions that are worthy of an award gets an award. And there's no indication of who has the highest number of points. Certainly, the one or the award at a higher quantum, a higher dollar number of award is not necessarily a better award or better submission, than another one of lower value, because those values take into consideration the nature of the idea and what it takes, what we perceive it would take to develop it. Nothing more, nothing less. So that, I don't know if I got you there, what's it again, Jeffers? If I haven't properly answered it, you could probably clarify the question a little bit more. And Kieran, I see there's a question for you that asking whether no, there's one, does the selection panel come from different disciplines? Thanks for that question, Neil, because it does allow me to say that, yes, it does. There are, the panel is, at this point, it started at 7, first year, and was changed to 9. So we have 9 members in the panel. And yes, we do have different disciplines, both genders as well. We have 2 females on the panel. We have 2 of us are engineers. We have 2 who are inclined towards agriculture, not exactly the same discipline. They have business people of different types of business, and so it's a very mixed group. One individual is a banker come finance person. So it is deliberately set up to be a group of different disciplines so that we can deal with almost any type of idea that comes in. And so far we've generally found that whatever the idea comes in, at least 1 or 2 of us has a good handle on what is the intent and can explain the intent to others if that becomes necessary. We have had, on the last part of the question, will they seek further clarification from other relevant personnel in that respect, in that specific field? That is always an option. We have not had to use it very much. What we have done, though, is last year, this last session, there was an idea, and actually a nice idea with even a photograph and so on. And the idea piqued our interest, but even with that, we couldn't quite grasp what was being intended. And we asked the individual, and he actually sent in a sample of the product that was produced, which of course helped us considerably. So that I made that point just to clarify that panel does have options for clarification. if it feels it needs it. We will not stop short because we don't fully understand an idea. We will seek to get that clarity. On the panel, actually, we have one person who is very involved, one of the females who is very involved in the creative industry, yes.
On the evaluation process upon submission?
That's a good question. On the first 3 occasions, the process took approximately 12 weeks, roughly 3 months. We are quite challenged this year because the targets have been condensed quite considerably, and we have about 6 weeks to do the evaluation. I can assure all that the evaluation will be no less stringent and appropriate. What we will be doing is getting the number of hours that we would normally have worked in the 12 weeks, getting it in 6 weeks. And that really is the goal that we have set for this year. Okay, yes, let's just see if we missed any. If anybody wants to get a quick last question in, we could probably do that. We think we have covered all of the questions. I see Jeffers has indicated that I did cover his question properly. Okay. So we don't seem to have any more. So with that, we will close off and say thanks a lot for your questions and your interactions. Oh, we do have 2 people with the last question. 2 last questions. Natasha, if your NGO involves individuals under 18, can you still submit your idea? Kiran, could you just remind me of the age? I think it's the minimum age. I think it's 18. We just wait on Kiran to do that. But this is just the age for submission. You can have an NGO that deals with children, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the person who is submitting the idea has to be age 18 or over. I think it's 18. I'm subject to correction, as you know. Yeah. It's on the site, yeah? On the site. So is it someone who to, what's this person? Yeah, yes, Kiran has confirmed that it is age 18. We said that someone who to get a foreign assistance that you have to go through the guidelines. Is it more favorable to get local workers to build or company? It really does not matter whether it's a company building or workers or individuals. In the process, in that 1-year process after an award, the developmental stage, the object there is to really get what the project needs to prove its value and its worth. So that Korea will do whatever it takes to get the services and to you. If these are available locally with that, that clearly is the preference. So at this point, I'd like to thank everyone for attending and to thank Ancel for being here with me today. Ancel Bhagwandeen, double awardee. That sounds close to double after a double awardee. And I'm Hayden Ferreira, chairman of the evaluation panel. Signing off and letting you know that this webinar The video of it will be on the website and will be posted on Facebook tomorrow. So if you wish to get any of it that you missed, feel free. And of course, the office is always open for questions that come in either via Facebook or any of the other channels.
So get your applications in.
Yes, do so, please. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.